On today's The Doctor Is In, as the number of prescriptions soar, so too do the number of mistakes. More than 1.5 million potentially dangerous drug mistakes occur every year. Dr. Scott Ackerman is one of the First Coast's leading doctors. He is here today to offer some tips on how to properly take care of the prescribed drugs that you are given, because I think a lot of people don't realize that these mistakes occur every year.
Yeah, they happen much more often than you realize. The biggest mistake is assuming that the drug that you take home from the pharmacy is the one your doctor prescribed. Believe it or not, Casey, 1 in 20 prescriptions have a mistake. The pharmacist may have misread the prescription and gave you the wrong drug. He might have given you the drug that's meant for somebody else. The pharmacist may have given you the wrong amount of medicine, but 1 in 20 prescriptions have some sort of mistake in them.
So what can we do to prevent this? I mean, we have to obviously be very look at what you're given by your pharmacist first and foremost, but sometimes you get these crazy words and you don't really even know what they mean. I mean, what do you do to make sure that this doesn't happen or prevent it or whatnot? Right.
So when you're at if you go to the doctor and your doctor prescribes some medication, write down, ask the doctor what it is, okay, and write down what the name of the drug is from the doctor. You don't even need to worry about the generic name or the brand name. Whatever the drug is the doctor says is fine. Write that down. Ask how it's pronounced, and then when you get the drug at the pharmacy, make sure you get the correct drug. If the doctor prescribes a certain drug and you go to the pharmacy and you get the generic version, that's okay. We talked about generic drugs before, and generally generic drugs are just fine. But it'll say on the packaging the generic name, it'll say in parentheses or something, generic for whatever the brand name is. So if you ask your doctor when you leave the office the name of the drug, how it's pronounced, how often you're supposed to take it, and write that down yourself on a piece of paper. When you go to the pharmacy and get your prescription filled, you could double check and be sure you have the right drug.
I've never thought of that, but that just seems so simple and such a good, just one extra step that you can take to make sure you're doing the right thing, because you're your own health advocate when you're doing this. You're the best one for you. And also you've mentioned too, having people come along with you, which has been a great tip, you know, having like a family member or a relative. What do you find is another mistake that people make?
Well, another mistake that people make when they get the prescription is not reading the instructions in the label or the FDA leaflet that's in there. A lot of times there's important information about the drug. You can ask your pharmacist, and most of the pharmacies today, all the big chains, and the small pharmacies too, they have a little printout on each drug. It tells you how you could take it, and some facts about it. And here's the important things to remember when you're taking medication. Should you take this medication with food or without food? Because some you should take with food and some you should absolutely not take with food. Should you take it at a certain time of the day? It'll say 3 times a day. Does that mean every 8 hours, or does that mean 3 times a day? There's a difference. Remember, if you take 24 hours divided by 3, it's 8 hours, but maybe you take it breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So those sort of things you look at and ask the pharmacist. Ask about the side effects on that sheet, or if you talk to the pharmacist or even the physician, ask about the side effects of the drug. Because if you take a drug and you're experiencing some side effects, you may not attribute it to the drug, and you may worry and think you have something else. Also, what other things can you take or can you not take with that medication? Is it okay to drink alcohol while you're having that medication? Now, the first thing we think of is, sure, if I'm given a tranquilizer or a sleeping pill, absolutely I shouldn't take that with alcohol, because you can imagine there would be a synergistic reaction if you have alcohol and some sort of a mood depressing or a tranquilizing sort of drug. But did you know that certain antibiotics interfere with alcohol absorption? And if you are on a certain antibiotics and you drink a glass of wine or scotch, you can become very, very sick. And so you need to look at that, because many drugs you cannot have alcohol with when you're on those medications. So be sure that you find out whether you can take it with food, what time of day to take it, what side effects, and what other things you should avoid.
I didn't even realize that. A lot of times they put like the stickers on it, you know, be careful, do not eat with food, but you should probably just ask the pharmacist just to be on the safe side.
Because the pharmacist may or may not put the stickers on, and sometimes they put a lot of stickers on that say those sort of things. Ask the pharmacist, ask the physician, look at what it says on the printout. Another thing you have to be careful of when you're taking certain drugs, that there's certain foods you can't take with them. Grapefruits have certain enzymes in them that will interfere with the absorption and interfere with the metabolism metabolism of other medications as well. So not just alcohol, grapefruit, all sorts of things.
Wow. So what about storing medication too and keeping medication? Because I was at my parents' house the other day and I opened up the medicine cabinet. There's stuff that's in there for like 10 years, you know? It's like, what is this doing in here?
Yes, I'm a parent, and my kids probably say the same thing. Because in fact, I needed an aspirin the other day. I opened up my medicine cabinet and I pulled out an aspirin. It expired in '08.
Oh, okay, yeah, probably not
So
the best
I'm
thing.
just as guilty, probably not the best thing. But you want to storing medication improperly is another problem with medication. After the expiration date, the drugs frequently are okay after the expiration date, but that's the date that the drug manufacturer guarantees is going to have the right strength and efficacy. Once that date's beyond, the strength of the drug is not the same because the drug just deteriorates over time because of exposure to oxygen in the air and elements like that. But you want to store your medication, believe it, in a cool and dry place. Everybody stores their medication where?
Well, usually in the cabinet, right?
What's it called?
Well, the medicine cabinet.
Exactly.
Put me on the spot.
Right.
I was trying to think the thing above the sink. Yeah, the medicine cabinet.
Right, and where's the medicine cabinet? What room?
Right above the sink in the bathroom.
Exactly, the worst place.
Right. Why?
Because of all the steam from the shower and from the sink. All that steam gets into the medicine cabinet, gets into the pills, and deteriorates the pills. So my recommendation is to store your medicine in a hallway closet or in a kitchen cabinet, but not in the medicine cabinet where it's going to be exposed to hot heat and steam and that sort of thing.
And out of reach of children, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Either way,
Right,
believe
you
me,
gotta
children
make
can
sure.
reach in the medicine cabinet just as easily as they can reach in the kitchen cabinet.
Yeah.
You want it out of reach of children and locked up. But also keep track of all your medications and the supplements. Keep track of the expiration dates of all these. And when you have them all stored like that too, you want to make sure that you don't take too many, you don't take medications that will interact with other medications.
Okay, Dr. Ackerman, thanks so much. Appreciate you being here as
you,
always,
Casey.
and thanks for sponsoring the segment. Dr. Ackerman joins us every Friday for questions regarding today's topic or any other health questions that you might have. You can simply log on to firstcoastoncology.com, confidentially submit your questions to Ask the Doctor.